Good afternoon. Welcome to Project Freedom United. My name is Marty Zients, and I'll be your host today. Joining me today is Alan Bergstein, who is the president of the Judeo-Christian Republican Club of Palm Beach. Alan is also known as a lecturer, columnist, and editorial writer for the New York Jewish Voice, a retired New York City school principal, Korean War veteran, and father of four. Alan, welcome to the show today.
Thanks for having me, Marty. I really appreciate this. I really appreciate this.
So let's start out with a general question, and we'll jump from there. Explain, in your opinion, the present relationship between the United States and Israel.
In my opinion, it's a confused one. It's a confused relationship. Basically, without the support of the United States, Israel is dead meat. Since 1948, if it didn't have the United States backing it, Israel would have gone many times over, would have gone under. Right now, it's a confused relationship. We have as president and leader of the United States, Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a virulent anti-Israel advocate. He's part of the Obama team. He was vice president for 8 years under Obama. And of course, we know that Obama caved in to Iran on the nuclear plan. He gave them billions of dollars in oil profits, what have you. So Biden right now is an advocate for Hamas in my eyes, and it's a strained relationship. And for Israel to depend on the United States for survival is problematical. It's problematical.
Well, that's certainly a lot to be concerned about.
And the Democrat Party, led by the four, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, Ocasio-Cortez, and Jamal Bowman, overtly Jew haters, is problematical. And for them to still be in the Democrat Party and not be rebuked and thrown out of their committee assignments is outrageous.
So that brings me to my next question. With so much evidence coming to light about the left's disdain for Israel, why do you think the American Jewish population, by and large, still shows unfailing support for the Democratic Party?
Jewish political intelligence is an oxymoron. It's a total oxymoron when you talk about Jewish political intelligence. They're still enmeshed in the Democrat Party, which started evidently with Roosevelt in 1933. And I feel that basically 70% or more of the Jewish people have abdicated the Jewish religion in terms of the religion of progressiveness and the Democrat Party. And that's problematical. They're no longer concerned about Israel. You look at the Pew polls, PEW polls, they show that among the Democrat Jews, only about 30% of them are concerned with Israel. And the survival of Israel is the survival of Jewry worldwide.
Interesting. I just heard a statistic that 200,000 Jews from around the world have gone back to Israel to help fight with their reserve units. They lost 1,400 in the attack. 200,000 went back. I think it backfired on Hamas.
Let me give you figures. The 1,400 killed in Israel by Hamas, the terrorist attack, basically equate to 70,000 Americans. The relationship in population is 50 to 1. 7 million Jews to 350 Americans. So Israel just incurred an attack that killed the equivalent of 70,000 Americans. If 70,000 Americans had been killed in 9/11, would we have sat back and said, listen, we have to be concerned about the civilian casualties on the other side?
No.
Never. 70,000.
Would have been a far different response.
Right. And when you talk about the incoming people going to Israel to help them out, there were more people going into Israel than are leaving Israel. Very strange. More people coming in to defend Israel than running away from Israel.
It's incredible. Incredible.
Never seen this before.
Well, it's a good thing that they're doing that, because Israel certainly needs all the help they can get.
They need help, but they need more than the help of the incoming people. They need help of the international community. They don't have it. The Secretary General of the United Nations yesterday came down and blasted Israel. So, in less than 3 weeks after the invasion of Israel by Hamas and the beheading of children, the victim, Israel, are now considered by the world the oppressors, and the actual savages who attacked Israel are now the victims. It's now turned around. The victims are the Hamas and the civilians in Gaza, and the bad ones are the people who incurred outrageous casualties. It's amazing.
Unbelievable.
And what do you do? What do you do? I just hope that this video gets people to get off their ass, the Jews and the Christians, to get off their ass and say, listen, they're coming for us next.
And they are.
Well, look at the attacks. We've had 13 attacks by Iran in the past 2 weeks. And what have we done? What retaliation have we done? Nothing. China is attacking our fleet in the Gulf of Arabia. China is threatening Taiwan. The world is at this point now is on the verge of shambles.
Well, it's when you speak the truth, people have to take notice. Truth is truth. It's not subject to opinion. It either is or it isn't. So,
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
in your opinion, is the United States military, as a former military man who served honorably in Korea, is the military in this country ready to defend our country against those who would seek to destroy our way of life?
No. First of all, I was never in Korea. During the Korean War, I served in the occupying forces in Germany. I was involved during the period of the Korean War, but I'd never served in battle. But right now, we're down 40% in recruitment for the military. The Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Navy are down 40%. We kicked out tens of thousands of reliable troops, trained troops, because they refused to take the COVID vaccine. We kicked them out. Right now, we can't defend the United States. We can't defend our forces in the Mideast. No, we're being attacked by Iran. No, and we're being led by inept, incompetent political appointees. We're not prepared to do. In fact, I think that our Navy is outnumbered by China right now. And I wonder how many cruisers, how many submarines are inoperable now because of waiting for spare parts. I wonder. And if we gave Ukraine most of our 155 millimeter artillery ammunition, so we're out of ammunition. And now if we're going to supply Israel with military aid, what are we left with?
And it also brings up the point of we're running out of diesel, which is what our country operates on. Our reserves are depleted.
We're down 60% in our petroleum reserves because Biden took it out of the petroleum reserves and put it on the market to keep the prices down for his re-election.
Yep. So
we're screwed. We're screwed every which way.
Energy independence to energy dependence in 2 years, 2.5 years.
And our enemies don't know this. China doesn't know this. Iran doesn't know this. Of course they know this. They know more than the average American knows about our inability to defend ourselves.
And that shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, but reality. Reality hurts. Reality says it's true.
I'm not sure. You seem like a wealth of knowledge about a lot of different things concerning.
That's why I'm depressed.
Well,
I know too much. I'm depressed.
Tell me more.
If I were dumb, I would be happier. You know, I meet Jewish Democrats. They're my worst enemies. Jewish Democrats are my worst enemies. They watch CNN. They watch MSNBC. They listen to NPR. They watch PBS. They don't know anything. If I tell them about the borders, they say the borders are closed because they don't see pictures of 250,000 illegal aliens coming into our border, flowing in from every which country, from over 160 countries, they're flowing into our border. And if you think that ISIS and Hezbollah and Hamas and China and all the rest of our enemies are not taking advantage of our open borders, you have to be ignorant or stupid or both. Because they're setting up groups within this country that with the flick of a switch, they can destroy 10, 15 cities overnight. They're smarter than we are. They're setting up bases within this country that we're not aware of. We don't know who's coming into this country. Chinese are coming into this country. ISIS is coming into our country. And they're setting up bases to knock us out. And they can do that at one moment. They just say at 3 o'clock today, we'll blow up 10 cities, and they can do this. We shouldn't be surprised. 9/11 was a complete intelligence surprise. The attack on Israel was a complete intelligence surprise. So why do we assume that our intelligence agencies know what's happening within our country today? They don't.
They're probably complicit. That may be part of the problem.
Listen, I wouldn't take that bet. I wouldn't bet against it.
Neither would I.
I wouldn't take that bet.
We see on Newsmax and some of the other conservative channels about military-aged men coming into this country without families. Why are they coming here if they're not planning to do harm to us?
And who is supporting them when they come here? We support them when they come here. We support them when they come here. Why do we do that? They come across this border, they're supplied with medical, housing, education, and what have you. And what do we do for the American veterans who are homeless on the street?
That's a crying shame. It should never be.
But it is. Reality says it is. Basically, I say that realistically, this country is screwed. And we're heading for a disaster the likes of which we've not seen. I lived through Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. I was a kid then. And I remember I lived in an Italian Jewish neighborhood. If you had said after December 7th that we have to understand why the Japs attacked Pearl Harbor, we have to understand the background, you would have had the crap beaten out of you on the street. Now it's easy for people to say, listen, you have to understand Hamas, you have to understand the Chinese, we're oppressors, what have you. This is all, pardon the expression, bullshit. And we're being indoctrinated. The American public is being indoctrinated. Yep. And they don't know what's happening. They don't know the threat to us.
I don't think anybody really believes that we're in danger. That's part of the problem. They're sleeping.
Well, we're being told that we have the greatest army. Look at our president. The guy is inane. He's insane. I don't hate the guy, but I'm fearful of having the world look at our leader who can't find his way off stage. He has to have, do you remember last Easter he had the Easter Bunny direct him?
I do.
The Easter Bunny was not an Easter Bunny. The Easter Bunny was, inside that costume was an aide who was told, listen, make sure the president doesn't screw up. Because he's what can I tell you? He's inept, he's incompetent, he's inane. And he's leading our country, he's making the decisions. God bless us all.
I don't think, as far as in the conservative community, I don't know how you feel about this. I really don't believe he's making any decisions. I think George Soros and Obama and previous administration officials are doing this for him behind the scenes, and they call it his decision, but he really didn't even know what was going on.
Marty, let me throw in one other problem. Follow the money trail.
Always.
Follow the money trail. He and his son have been on the payroll of China, Russia, and who knows who else. I'm a little concerned that follow the money, and they are controlled by the money aspect. All they are concerned with is making money. Look at it. He just gave $6 billion to Iran. The leading, you can't deny, undeniable leader of all the terrorism in the world today is Iran. And he gave them $6 billion.
Allegedly, it was their money. He was returning it. That's the front story that they're putting out.
If it was in our hands, it was our money.
We've confiscated it. Yeah.
Possession is 99% of the law.
As far as I'm concerned.
When I was a kid, we learned in Brooklyn, 99% of the possession is 99%. If it's in your hands, it's yours.
It's yours.
We gave them $6 billion. What did they do with that $6 million? Build hospitals, build schools,
no.
Gift to science, to humanity. They gave it to Hezbollah, Hamas, and terrorists.
They called the world's biggest arms dealer on the phone after we released him, and they bought arms on the black market.
Why did we release him? Why don't we keep him in prison for years and say, screw you? You have hostages, we'll screw you a million different ways until you give us the hostages back.
Well, we got Brittany Griner back.
Why? Because she was black, gay, and a basketball star?
Probably.
And how many other hostages do they have now?
Too many.
Too many.
Too many. All right, so I'm going to ask you, before I ask you a final question, which is your final thoughts, is there any direction you want to take this interview that you came prepared to talk about any particular subject that we could tell the viewers?
Yeah, I'm concerned with the future of democracy. I'm concerned with the future of the United States, and I'm concerned with the future of Israel. If I see in this country, and I've never seen it before, and I lived through World War II in this country, the hatred for Jews, Columbia University, NYU, Brooklyn College, Hunter College, Harvard, Yale, George Washington University, the West Coast University, every major university has now shown its true fangs of Jew hating. This is undocumented, and this is scary. First, they'll go for the Jews. Next, they'll go for the Americans. This is basically a cancer from within, and I don't know how to solve it. I don't know what you do with the schools, but I'm concerned that Americans have got to finally come to the realization, and American Jews, that the end is upon us. It's coming. It's coming. And our enemies beheading children, Hamas beheading children, they'll do anything. They'll do anything. And we're concerned about the hostages in Israel now. The hostages, I may say what many people may not like, the hostages must be considered dead meat. They're finished. Forget about the 200 hostages. They're dead. Go in and wipe out Hamas completely. Don't worry about, the Muslim women that you see crying on CNN that their husbands have been killed, their children have been killed. This is bullshit. This is like the fake bomb attack on the Hamas hospital, where they said 500 were killed. Then they finally came out and said, well, it really wasn't the Israeli forces, it was a Hamas errant rocket. We have to go in, Israel has to go in and wipe out Hamas, and the United States has to be undeniably, irrevocably in support of Israel, what they have to do. Because right now the Israelis are on the line, and we're next. We're next.
Yeah, that's a testing ground for the...
Right now we're doomed. We have no military, we have no leadership, we have no leadership. The White House caves into Iran, caves into Hamas. Israel is the oppressor. Listen, today, right now, today it's Wednesday, I just saw Biden introduce and host the Israeli Prime Minister with a full military thing. What did he do to Netanyahu when he came here? He said, you're not coming to the White House. I'll meet you in the diner on First Avenue opposite the United Nations in New York City. Basically, he said, I'll meet you in the diner somewhere else. Biden is anti-Israel. He's a Jew hater. He's an Obama Confederate. So if a Jew is listening to this and watching this interview, and he's a Democrat, rethink your position. Rethink for whom you voted and for whom you support. If you are a Jewish Democrat, you support Jew hating. That's all I can say.
Alan, I'd like to ask you another couple of questions, if I might.
Sure.
First, militarily, how should Israel deal with the 300 miles of tunnels in Gaza?
Okay, the 300 miles of tunnels in Gaza are the equivalent of the entire subway system in New York City. Hamas knows where the sniper points are, they know the buildings. What Israel has to do, and of course I stand alone in this, is demolish Gaza totally. I would say to Israel, stand back for 5 days, line up your artillery, your tanks, what have you, your rockets on the land side, and on the ocean side, on the Mediterranean side, land up all of your destroyers, what have you, and pound Gaza unmercifully for 5-6 days. Wipe them out. Israel already has warned the civilian population to leave, and it's their responsibility and their leaders, Hamas, their elected leaders, and the United Nations to get them out of harm's way. Israel should pulverize Gaza totally and completely, and then go in for the tunnels. And the tunnels, find their locations, get the people who will tell you where the tunnels are, and incinerate them, put water down, put lethal gas in, carbon monoxide, whatever, and get rid of the tunnels forever. And make sure that in the future, no UN money or United States welfare money for the people, compassion money, goes in to rebuild those tunnels. Because the tunnels were built with American money, United Nations money, for schools, for infrastructure, for buildings, nonsense. The steel was used for the tunnels and the concrete was. In fact, the water crisis in Gaza now was caused by Hamas taking out the water pipes underground and turning them into mortars and mortar rounds. So they have no water. And it's not Israel's, I'm getting into another topic, it's not for Israel now in attacking Hamas and attacking Gaza to think about the humane way of attacking it. You go in and you kill. In World War II, the United States won the war by unmercifully bombing cities of Dresden and Hamburg and Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No one in my community ever said, listen, what about the civilian casualties incurred by Germans during the war? We didn't give a crap. We wanted the war to end and we wanted our soldiers to come back alive. And Israel has got to just look out for one aspect now, the security of its forces and the security of its nation. Go in and wipe out Gaza completely. The civilians have been warned to get out. If Egypt doesn't want to open up the Rafah crossing, it's too bad. Israel can't say, come into our nation. And Jamal Bowman, the black Jew-hating congressman from New York says, fly in Gazan refugees. That's all we need is more anti-American Muslims in this country to destroy our country. And that's how you handle the tunnel situation. Go in, obliterate Gaza, destroy it, turn it into rubble, get rid of them, don't let them back in. Whoever wants to take these refugees, take them, not the United States, and that's the end of that.
Okay, so let's switch gears one more time, and I have another question for you. Are police in this country being held back by the judicial system from actually doing their job, which is law, quote, enforcement, where they arrest people for committing crimes who are being let go, in a lot of cases without bail, and we're putting handcuffs on the police rather than on the criminals? How do you feel about that?
Well, that goes in conjunction with the unlimited illegal immigration from the South and law and order. Those who want to destroy our country, the leftist progressives, destroy the basics of our country, having the refugees come in, unlimited refugees from the South, and destroying our law and order. The police, I love the cops. I'm a law enforcement guy way back. I love the NYPD. But they are being held back now by the judges and by the George Soros-appointed district attorneys and DAs around the country. Take a look at Alvin Bragg from New York City, the DA in New York City. A guy comes in, is a murderer. He has an arm length of conviction. He walks the street the next day. He says, why do I give a crap? I'll go in, I'll kill someone the next day, and I'll get off. And how many crimes has he committed between convictions? He's not picked up for every conviction. The cops are being demoralized. The cops say, why should I go out in New York City? Why should I go out and arrest a black guy who's a thug because I'll be sued by the NAACP and I'll be sued by Alvin Bragg and I'll go to jail? Remember the subway guy, the tall guy, I can't think of his name, who protected the subway car from a black? He was prosecutor. How about the Hispanic store owner who was attacked by a black thug in a store and killed him? He was indicted for murder the next day by Alvin Bragg. People are afraid to stand up for their rights now, so they're hiding, which means the convict, the criminal says, I can do whatever the hell I want. I'll be supported by the DA, I'll be supported by the justice system, I'll have a free attorney, and I'll sue. So a cop in New York City, I know many cops, I know 3 cops who retired from New York City, they don't want this anymore. They took their pension and they walked out. Yeah. They said, if I break up a riot and I attack and subdue a black, let's talk reality, a black guy who's causing crime, I'm going to be sued. Why should I risk it? Why should I risk my pension, my job, my life to chase a black convict? I'll let him go. And the convicts, the criminals know this. So this is why they're running rampant, knocking out CVS stores, wiping out Targets. They just go in, take as much as they want and walk out. No one stops them. It's illegal to stop them. It is literally illegal in California to stop them.
And the companies hang their hat on the fact that we're not putting our employees in harm's way by not making them do their job, which is
well, what signal does that send to the criminals?
It's the same signal. You get away with it.
And how many, I hate to say this, how many minorities, when they're hungry, wipe out supermarkets? How many libraries are being wiped out? And are libraries concerned about the break-ins and stealing of books? Are the Publixes afraid of the store shelves being wiped out? No, it's the handbags, it's the jewelry, it's the stuff that can be sold on the open market.
Yeah, this is sort of a renaissance for criminals.
It's crap to say that, well, you know, they're poor, they're hungry, so they're going out. I never see the diaper shelf being empty in the store.
Isn't that strange?
Never the diaper store. I never see the vegetable market being wiped out. You know, in Brooklyn, we used to have open fruit stands and vegetable stands. No one ever said, let's grab a carton of onions and run away. No. Now they don't take the onions, they take the watches. You know, there's not much of a market for secondhand onions. I don't know. But yeah, the justice system in this country has been planned and destroyed by George Soros, because that's part of the destruction of this country.
Yeah, right out of Saul Alinsky's playbook.
Saul Alinsky, who was a friend of Saul Alinsky? Barack Obama.
Yep.
We didn't even discuss Barack Obama. And Hillary Clinton.
Let's discuss Barack Obama. Give me your take.
Barack Hussein Obama.
Hussein.
When he was running for election in, was it
2008.
2008 and 12, and I called him Barack Hussein Obama. People went nuts. What are you calling him Barack Hussein Obama? I said, because that's the name that his parents gave him. He was proud of the fact that his name was Barack Hussein Obama, and he was a Muslim. When he went to Indonesia with his mom at his second marriage, he was raised in a Muslim school. He was Muslim. So what? You know, but he is a Muslim basically at birth, and he gave in to Iran. He gave in to the Muslims. He was an overt Jew hater, an Israeli Jew hater.
How do you feel about him having Farrakhan to the White House?
Well, Louis Farrakhan was his best friend in Chicago.
Amazing, isn't it?
He denied knowing Louis Farrakhan. And how about Bill Ayers?
Bill Ayers.
The terrorist with his wife. He knew them. He was close to Bill Ayers. They were on the education committee in Chicago together. And he denied. He lied. He lied. And he said he never knew Louis Farrakhan. Of course he knew Louis Farrakhan. And I have a picture in my cell phone. A 2005 meeting of the Black Congressional Caucus with Obama standing side by side with Louis Farrakhan. Those people who are watching, look it up on your computer. Look up Farrakhan and Obama pictures together. You'll see that picture. He was good friends with Louis Farrakhan. And what church did Barack Obama go to for 20 plus years?
Farrakhan.
United Trinity Church of Christ in Chicago with Reverend Jeremiah Wright, who was an overt Jew hater. When I asked my Jewish friends, liberal Jewish friends, of whom I have very few, I said, when you voted for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012, did you know that he was a member of this Jew-hating church for 20 plus years? They said, no. I said, you're a liar. Why did he not know that that church was a Jew-hating church for 20 plus years? He got married there and his 2 children were baptized there.
He knew.
He knew. He went there because he believed in the precepts of that church. If I went to a synagogue and a rabbi said, I hate blacks, I'd pick my ass up and I'd walk out and never go back. And he's smarter than I am. He was a president of the United States and he was an attorney. And he stayed in that church for 20 plus years. Why? Because he believed in the precepts of Reverend Jeremiah Wright and the Jew-hating Louis Farrakhan. Yeah. And just let me add something in. In 2007, Louis Farrakhan won the Man of the Century Award from the church that Barack Obama attended. The Man of the Century Award was given to Louis Farrakhan. And Barack didn't know it? Bullshit.
Do you remember the organization that Louis Farrakhan was?
Black Nation of Islam. You know why? Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Of course. Nation of Islam is huge. It's a large Jew-hating Muslim group. Put this together. Just let me add this. Put the Nation of Islam, millions of Nation of Islam members, together with Black Lives Matter. 2 overt black Jew-hating groups. Could this be the street army that will take the Jews and do to Jews what Hamas did to Jews in Israel? You think about it. If you unleash Nation of Islam and Black Lives Matter on the Jewish community, what would happen? What's happening to the Jews in New York City now? If you're a Hasidic Jew and you wear Jewish apparel, you get your head knocked off, you get your hat knocked off, and you get knocked down. You're warned not to wear Magen David, the Star of David, as an indication you're a Jew in New York City. Why? Who's attacking them? Let's be real. It's the blacks.
Of course.
The black community is the Jew-hating community. And no one wants to come out and say this. Why? The liberal Jews don't say this. What? Ilhan Omar is a woman of color. Jamal Bowman is a man of color.
Rashida
Tlaib, Ocasio-Cortez, and Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts. They're women of color. If they're women of color, can I call them colored women? I don't know. Is that racist? But they're women of color, and they hate Jews. They're overtly. Who in the black community is denouncing them?
No one.
Al Sharpton? The Crown Heights Rise of 1994? Killed Yankov Rosenbaum, the Jewish Australian rabbinical student, because he was Jewish. And now Al Sharpton is a leading guy on MSNBC. Doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't make sense to people like us who can think for ourselves. It makes sense to people who are sheep that are being led by the Democratic Party into believing that, oh, that's not what they really mean. They're talking about something else.
And this is willful denial of the truth.
Absolutely.
Willful. If there's anyone who can tell me that they don't know that anything that we said today was factual, they're lying. Because they can go to the computer, they can go to the internet, they can go anywhere and find out that we said today was the truth.
It reminds me of a quote, one of my favorite all-time quotes by a gentleman by the name of Josh Billings, who said, "As scarce as the truth is, the supply has always been in excess of the demand."
It's true. Unless you open your mind to the truth, your mind is closed.
Yes, sir.
And I urge everyone who's watching this program, open your mind. And if you have any questions for Marty and me, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to respond. If you want us to talk to your groups, we'll be more than happy to talk to you. Open your groups up to discussion. Let Marty and I debate a liberal. We open an open debate in an open forum. Let's do it. Let's air it all out. If you don't like what we have to say, tell us. If you say that we're lying, prove that we're lying. I personally will apologize for anything I said today that was a lie. And I don't know.
I feel the same way. Absolutely.
Challenge us. We're here.
Well, Alan, I just wanted to thank you again for taking your time to speak about a subject you're so passionate about that needs to be talked about. We don't need to bury this in some back room. This needs to be shouted from the hilltops. It needs to be taught in our schools. We need to educate people about what's really happening. And most people will come to the right conclusion if they hear the truth, I believe.
The truth sometimes hurts. A doctor tells you the truth.
Yeah.
The doctor tells you whether it's negative or positive, he'll tell you the truth. And politicians should tell us the truth. And it's our job as citizens to open up the politicians and force them to tell us the truth. And let them stand up to us, and let's see if they can answer our questions. I thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
It's an honor. Thank you, sir.
Ditto here.
And that's another edition, Project Freedom United.